we can start our session or room one session right now. So the first presenter that will be presenting is Mr. Fazri Agus Duino. Uh, you will be given 15 minutes presentation time, and then 5 minutes, the rest of the 5 minutes, the audience can ask you a question. Okay, Mr. Fraz, please start your presentation. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you very much, Miss Elfrida. Please, I will share my presentation. Is it my presentation on your desktop?
Yes, we can see it clearly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the chance for me to present my paper about the analysis of effectiveness online learning at PTPL and Persero, Palembang Unit Pendidikan dan Pelatihan Palembang. I will introduce myself. My name is Fajri Agustino Putra from PTPL and Persero. The background our research for this paper, that's in the new normal condition, PTPL and Persero Learning Center always do the practice using the normal condition in class learning, face-to-face learning and offline learning. But in this year, our country have attacks from the COVID-19. So the learning center in PTPL and Persero do the training using the online learning. In this case, our company have a schedule to cost efficiency. So for this year, in PTPL and Persero will do the training using online learning. When the learning we do using online learning, there is many complaint from the participant in level 1 evaluation online learning. And also our media not yet readiness to deliver the training center. In this research, I will to explain how the online learning effectiveness. The research objective, we will find to the value of the effectiveness of online learning at PTPL and Persero, Unit Pendidikan dan Pelatihan Palembang. In this later study, there is the theory we use in this research. One theory we use the online learning effectiveness from the Gary Anderson and others. That online learning is effective. It's mean the three critical component, including cognitive present, social present, and teaching present. And other theory we use the role of the learning media. Ibrahim suggests that's the function of the role the media in the teaching and the learning process, among the other, can avoid verbally generates interest of motivation, attract attention, overcome limited in the make effective provision of stimulus for the learning. In the research, we use for the in the variable independent variable, we use delivery media, social present, teaching and teaching present. For the dependent variable, we use cognitive present because from the theory Anderson, this variable is important to check how the effectiveness the learning online learning. We use the data collects method using explorative descriptive with mixed method. So we use quantitative and qualitative method. For the collect data, we use the questionnaire. The questionnaire we share to 325 respondents. After we share the questionnaire, we will do the interview, the participant of the training and instructor. Another data we collect from the observation. We do observation how to the learning process and how to the delivery media PTPLN use. And then we use another data about the participant, about the learning result, and level 1 evaluation. The data analysis we collecting the data and then we display the data. After that we reduce the data if have the garbage data, and then we get the conclusion. Before we get the conclusion, we do the many tests such as validity test, reliability test, and then we use a triangulation test. The triangulation test, we use the source triangulation, data collection, technical triangulation, and triangulation time. The result of our results that from the delivery media, we get the information from the interview. The result, the interview states that the main media feature in the form of the webinar application were still very minimal. So that's it had to the support by additional media such as WhatsApp group and then Zoom meeting. But the media used for the learning center, the result that unfortunately the use of the sporting media was still not optimal. Another data, additional based the secondary data, such as level 1 evaluation that's where collected. There is where still many complaint from the learning participation regarding the media delivery, like webinar. From the observation result, the webinar application feature have not meet a learning need. From the questionnaire we share to the respondent, average score only get 2.83 from the indicator for Likert scale. So we conclusion that for the delivery media not still effective. Another variable, social present, from the survey result, we get a average score to 2.677 indicator from the Likert 4 scale. It means that the survey result said that the social present not effective in online learning at PTPLN Persero. And another data said that from the interview, social present is only seen in less 10% of the learning participation. There is many participation who do not display the video. Only a few participants join the discussion. Observation result said that there is no social presence such as a sense of intimacy between participant and instructor in WhatsApp group. There is no interaction with that's the chat feature in the webinar. The conclusion for the social present variable that's learning center, training center in PTPLN Persero do the training not really effective. Another variable teaching present from the survey result, average score 2.89 indicator from the Likert 4 scale. It means that from the survey, the result teaching present not really good in the online learning. Another data said that from the observation result, the majority of the instructors were passive. The instructors still passive when they teach the participant. Another data, there is many complaint at level 1 evaluation, and then there is 176 participants get score C and D. It means that not all participants uh, get the teaching present. Another variable cognitive present from the interview, in line with the statement delivered by the research person during the interview, even though using Zoom media increase learning participant engagement is change it in itself. The result from the survey, average score only 2.77 indicator from the Likert 4 scale. It means that cognitive present there is a really help in online learning at PTPLN Persero. Another data say that in addition, the absence of cognitive presence show that there is no motivation for the participant to take part in the learning. It means that for the cognitive present variable still not have get in online learning at PTPLN Persero. From the research, we get the conclusion that it means the survey result for the delivery media variable only 2.83. The social version was 2.67. Teaching version was 2.69. And cognitive version was 2.77 on the Scala Likert. So it's mean that the effectiveness online learning at PTPL and Persero not still effective. The effectiveness of online learning PTPLN still not fulfilled. It can see from the result of the survey, interview, observation, and other data. The learning media delivery plays on important role in increase the effectiveness of their learning. Thank you very much for your attention. I think it all for about our paper and our results. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fazri. To the audience, if there is a question addressed to Mr. Fazri, you can start asking the question, or you can write it at the chat room so that we can have a discussion.
Okay, thank you, Miss Elfrida. There is a question for us about the learning training in PTPL and Persero. No question?
So if
Okay.
can ask a question, I will ask a question, because like
Okay, please.
your topic is more like education research, right?
Yes, or
Research education. So I'm,
research education effect from the COVID-19.
yeah, back from
Yeah.
COVID, because I'm a lecturer at UNIMED, State University of Medan. So we
Okay.
actually a university that train teacher.
Uh,
So I keep hearing a term that always present in our university. So the thing that I want to ask is, so basically what you are trying to do is you try to deliver the theory, right? The theory,
yes.
the training theory from
Yeah.
a webinar, right? From webinar,
Yes. We use webinar.
WhatsApp group, right? Now,
Yeah. And
so
also
but
Zoom meeting. We use Zoom
Zoom
meeting also.
meeting,
Okay.
yeah, Zoom meeting. So, but then my question is, we know that PLN company, so it means like you guys also have like a practical
Yes.
knowledge that to be gained by the staff, right? So
Yes. That's right.
uh, during this COVID meeting, how did
To
PL
delivery.
deliver the practical
The practical. Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Good question. Thank you very much, Miss Elfrida.
Yes.
When we need to practically learning, we
Mm.
use video and sometimes we use like virtual practically. But
Okay.
when we need to more practically for this time, we hold. So we will wait until the COVID-19 finish in Indonesia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically PLN use a virtual laboratory, right?
Virtual. We use a
Okay.
virtual laboratory, and
Mhm.
we already have many virtual video for practically.
Okay, for practical.
We use virtual reality. Maybe we can use glasses, VR, virtual reality. So it means that when the participant will know about the practical, so they can use the glasses and watch the video, and the participant will feel same when they practice offline. Maybe like that.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fazri.
Thank you very much, Miss Elfrida.
Thank you. Thank you. If there
There is
is,
any question from participant?
uh,
We have more time.
but the time is already, we
Already
have
finished.
five
Okay,
more minutes, right?
okay,
Five
okay.
more
Thank you very
minutes.
much. Yeah.
So, is there any more question from the audience?
Maybe if have any question,
Yeah.
we can chat from the
Yeah.
chat room.
Okay. So
Okay.
if audience still have any question and like still have a question, Miss ladies and gentlemen can wrote down the question in the chat room. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fazri.
Thank you
So
very much, Miss
okay. So
Elfrida.
if there is no more question for Mr. Fazri, then the next presenter will be present his work. Mr. Leslie, you can start presenting your presentation. Thank you.
Uh, okay, thank you. So I try to share the screen first. Uh, could all of you like see the screen? Is it being shared
Yes,
already?
I can see it clearly.
Okay.
But I think
And my
your
voice, is it clear?
your voice is not clear enough. I think at
Okay.
least for me.
If right now, is it
Yes, yes, I can hear it clearly.
okay? If it's not clear, please just interrupt me. Okay, it will be
Okay.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. First, thank you for time. My name is Leslie. I am actually a civil engineer from USU. Right now, I'm taking my master degree at a School of Government and Public Policy, focusing in educational or education policy. So even I am a civil engineer, but I spent my past 10 to 15 years in teaching for higher education. So it's for both national and international curriculum, SMR and SMP and A level and IB. So my research is about the awareness of the environmental and energy issue in our K-12 education system. So the second slide,
Mr. Leslie, will you please put your slide in slideshow?
slide. So okay, I'll try. Okay,
Not
okay.
yet.
So okay, I myself, right? I think I have problem with the slide. So I have tried like it cannot be seen. Uh, is it? I should I zoom in so it's like bigger.
Okay.
Okay, okay. So I myself like observed that the implementation of the design thinking in our Indonesian school is far from satisfying. Our educators are coming from the previous generations, and right now the students at the school are mostly being called as the Z generations. So the method of how the teachers teach and the method of how the students want to learn is totally different. So Generation Z tend to be very familiar with technology and they tend to learn by doing by technology, while the teachers are mostly coming from the previous generation and have problem in the technology issues. In the other research, it have been proven that the design thinking could be beneficial for both business and it may help to increase the practice of the innovation. So I'm trying to say that if a students or the students at school got a chance to do a design thinking, or like maybe in a simple way we can say it as a prototyping, then it will be more likely for the students to be an innovators or a makers rather than students that do not have the chance to do the prototyping at the school. The education department in Indonesia actually state that. So that's a regulation actually that encourage the school and the teachers to do something like a scientific paper writing, or it can be a journal. But unfortunately, many schools do not implement this. So I think from the data that I get, most of the schools are still like the concern is only focusing in how to answer the question. So it's a written, it's an old-fashioned learning. They don't really have a practical. And if there is a practical, the practical is too firm. The practical is mostly like the teachers has prepare everything, like so the students just will do what the teachers ask to do. So it's rather than a practical model where the students are given a chance to come up with what they want to do with the knowledge that they have learned. Okay, the limitation in my sample in my research is actually the samples that I took only coming from two cities, so Medan and Jakarta. The reason is because, uh, as I said before, I'm a teacher, and most of my students are coming from these two cities. So I have give them like a survey asking about like if they have enough chance to do prototyping at school or not. Turn out the answer is no. So most of the students are being taught about the types of energy. Well, of course, they know the types of renewable and non-renewable energy. But then when we ask them, like, do you ever apply as in like, do you ever come up with a simple setup for, let's say, a simple power plant or something else that you work on it by yourself, right? The answer is no. So most of the students, like 80 something percent, I have it on the next slide. So it's around 85% the students do not have an exposure to technology. So they only learn about the theory. They don't have any prototyping about the energy issues, about the environmentally friendly energy issues. So from these students that answer no, I conduct two classes for them, microbit. Maybe for some of you, you are familiar with what is microbit, but probably the others don't know what is microbit. So microbit is actually like a simple gadget. Yeah. So it has a lot of sensors. I mean, it has a lot of sensors that allow the students or the users to come up with their own idea. What sense do you want to work with, light or sound or whatever? So they just have to think of what they want to work with these sensors. And Python is the latest programming language, right? So the point of doing this is a person that learn Python and a person that understand microbit or Raspberry Pi, they can work on this together, and this will help the students to do a modeling about the application of the technology. It can be in an environmental issue, or it even can be like a gadget to help to do what do you call that, physical distancing, to remind physical distancing, like becoming an alarm in dealing with the COVID-19. So the point here is we teach them how to have the programming language and how to use the sensors. But for the design thinking is all coming from the students, not from the teachers. Okay, so there are 52 students that take part at the earlier survey, and this is the result. So only 13% of the students think that they ever have a chance to do a prototyping regarding the energy issue. So means only 13% ever do probably like a mini hydroelectric power plant, while 87% of the students at the school never do something like this. So they are only learning the theory and theories. So the point is like, how can Indonesia change to a renewable source of energy? if our Z generation at the school never got the chance to implement the study. So it will be very chaotic, right, when students sit at university and they learn a lot of these things, while when they are at a K-12 school, they never have a chance to do the prototyping. So I think the problem is at there. But actually, based on the regulation from the Ministry of Education, is written that the school is being encouraged to do this kind of activities. So the point is like is being located at the teacher. I'm not generalizing that all teachers are bad, but at least from the samples that I get, most of the teachers do not implement this. Okay, the reason why I'm taking two cities only is, well, I have said it before, but I'm trying to do a generalizing. It might be wrong. So the sense that I'm taking here is actually simple. Medan is located at North Sumatra. This is the result from the National Teachers Competency Test. Well, I have the data for 2020, but after I submitted this paper, and the data doesn't change much. So North Sumatra is located at the median. Okay, so it's very simple in my point of view. If North Sumatra teachers do not give a lot of chance for the students to do the prototyping, then I believe that the teachers coming from other regions with a lower national competency test score also will not give a chance for the students to do the prototyping. I mean, if the teachers coming from a city that has a higher test score do not do not like engage much with the tech, right? So I don't believe that the teachers that come from a region with a lower score will engage more with the technology. So I'm trying to generalize that Indonesia, most of the provinces are far from satisfying in this problem. This is a this is another data that I take about the coding. So as we can see, Malaysia recently in 2017, they bring a great exposure about the coding for their citizens. So what is the relation? Why suddenly we talk about the coding? And then I tried to search through a energy transition index in 2020, right? We can see Malaysia come with the rank 38, but Indonesia is at 70. This is what I believed before. Because as I said before, if a person is being given a chance to have the exposure in the microbit or in Python, we are trying to give them a chance like to think, to develop their own project. So when they are ready in the future, they will be familiar with artificial intelligence. And talking about switching energy to a renewable source of energy, I think it's not possible without the application of technology. So the next one is, yeah, so I still believe that there is a relation between the ability for the students to do coding, to do prototyping with the technology, and the readiness of a country to transform its energy resources. And I'm sorry to say, Indonesia has the blueprint. As we know, Palaparing is one of the project, and I believe that that is the only way to provide all of the students with the internet services. But the problem is the west ring and the mid ring is ready, but the east ring actually ready. All of the optic fibers are ready, but we don't have enough infrastructures. So there is no enough infrastructures to connect the optic fibers to the village or to the schools at on the mountain areas. So if we are dreaming like to switch our energy to totally to a renewable resources for short term, I don't believe it will happen. So I don't know how long again, but I believe it will happen only if all of the students in Indonesia are being exposed with the application of technology. So if at that time I see the students are familiar with coding, are familiar with design thinking, then at that time I will dare to dream that Indonesia will be a country that switch the application into a renewable source of energy. But right now, no. Also, this is just my simple feedback for the government actually. If it is very expensive for the government to build the infrastructures probably they could think of using a Google Balloon, because Google Balloon also can provide the internet service for the villages at the east area. I think that's all, because this is a critical time when everyone tends to feel sleepy if I talk too much. Thank you for your attention. So I've done. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, there is a technical problem here.
Oh,
That's why
okay, okay, okay.
I cannot turn on my video. So, uh, thank you, Mr. Leslie, for your
Oh,
uh, interesting presentation. Like I said, I work at Universitas Negeri Medan, so this is really related with what we do regularly. So if the audience have a questions, you can ask a question. Thank you. So while we are waiting for the audience to prepare their question, I want to ask Mr. Lastly a question. So I'm not familiar with microbit. So can you explain a little bit about microbit?
uh, yeah, sure. Microbit is actually a device. The size is very small. It's just like a small size of rectangle. So
Mhm.
from this small size of rectangle, we can connect a lot of sensors into the microbit. So currently, in the past time, probably a few months ago, I have three groups of students. So two of them take part as the virtual hackathon. So virtual hackathon is like, it's being conducted by the NGO. So the NGO is trying to come up with solutions how to deal with the COVID-19. So one of the group from my students try to put a, how do you call it? There is a sensor in microbit that can measure thermal energy. So they try to use that idea and make the microbit ring if the person come close to us within a radius of 1.5 meter. So the microbit will ring. And the price for the microbit is only around 300,000 rupiah. So I think it's very doable, like,
Yeah.
because the students, it will be like, I think it's more interesting for them, and we allow them to do their own design thinking to apply their knowledge.
Okay. 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 Thank you, Mr. Leslie. If
Welcome.
Are there any question from the audience? There is no question. Okay, so if there is no question, then we thank you, Mr. Leslie, for a good presentation.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you. Welcome.
this is also not a problem for K-12 education, but also for uh, for for university student also they also lack with the experiment or understanding prototype related with renewable energy. Uh, so that's also one of the reason like I me as a lecturer also I try to incorporate it renewable energy in one of my classes so that like maybe in the future they will more understand or they will have more like knowledge and then maybe they can develop the renewable energy more. Thank you. And then
Thank you, Miss.
the next speaker that will be presenting is Mr. Salam Ali Wiradinata. Mr. Salam Ali Wiradinata.
I'm sorry, Mr. Salam Ali. Um, apa ya? I speaks for Mr. Salam Ali Wiratinata.
Okay. So, Mr. Muhammad, you can start your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Uh,
Bagus ini. Ini bagus.
sorry. Okay. Can see all? Yes. Thank you for the times.
Yes.
I am Muhammad Aska. I am have a job with Mr. Salam Ali Wiratinata and my others friends. I'm from Department of Mathematics ITK, ITK Balikpapan. The contents of my presentation is about background, problem, descriptive, methodology, include result, forecasting, and conclusion. The background of data from data we use for years of our reload for Mahakam data from 1st January 2015 to 30th December 2018. And important word, the accuracy of prediction will affect power system operation. This is the raw data of electricity in Mahakam. East Kalimantan electricity data. This is an hourly load from August 1st to 25 December 2017. And we describe the trend and seasonal effect in time series. We use preparation of data, and then we identify of the potential models, and then estimation of the unknown parameter, and then checking the adequacy of fitted model, and then forecast future outcomes. This is the plot an hourly, and we plot an hourly for first 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock until 0 o'clock or 25 o'clock for 3 years. And then we plot AGF after differentiating like this, and like this, because there are 25 o'clock, and then we plot PIGF after differentiating, and then we estimation of unknown parameter. This there are 4 models, and then we review of the models like this with the formulas, and the visualization data of residual, and from training actual data of 1 step ahead in sample forecast of histogram. We use histogram to visualize residual data, and then this is the training of actual data of 1 step ahead in sample forecast. This is mapper for the out sample of actual data of 1 step. Is mapper for the accuracy of forecasting, and this is the out samples of actual data of 1 step ahead of sample forecast, and the result is plotting the ACF and PICF of Mahakam East Kalimantan data clearly the presence of seasonal pattern, which is daily seasonality with length 25, 24. Therefore, pre-processing data is applied by using regular differencing and seasonal differencing to convert non-stationary load series to stationary load series. Plotting the HF and PHF after non-seasonal differencing and daily seasonal differencing in figure indicates the presence of another seasonal pattern, which is weekly seasonality with length and for 414 20 times 25. In other words, this is identification step shows that the load data have two seasonal periods, which are daily and weekly seasonality with length 24 and 14 times 24 respectively. This data, I'm sorry, this for forecasting, and we forecast. Actually there are 24 forecasting, but for every hours, but I just take for forecasting. Okay, in this paper we present a case study on load forecasting for East Kalimantan with emphasis on forecasting load on hourly using a best seasonal ARIMA method for Mahakam load data. Overall, we found that the rule-based seasonal ARIMA method generated the most accurate forecast for special days. For these days, the mapper obtained using rule-based seasonal ARIMA was about one-third of the mapper for the simple benchmark methods, and about half of the mapper of original seasonal ARIMA method, which is not rule-based and which makes no attempt to model special days. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for Mr. Muhammad for presenting the data. So for the audience, if you have a question, you can write down in the chat room, or you can speak directly to Mr. Muhammad to ask a question. So if there is no question, I'm gonna ask a little bit to Mr.
Yes.
Muhammad. So I see many graph in your presentation. So so do you measure that graph or do you model the graph? Or do you use a computer modeling for generate the graph?
Yes, we use modeling the graph. Actually, we mix manually with Excel and programming with R program.
Okay. So what will be the purpose for that data in real life?
In real life, we can predict uh, for short term about the load data in electricity.
The load data in electricity. Okay. So will that data help to distribute electricity? Like for example, in Medan, for example, during peak time, sometimes the electricity will be down because all people suddenly use air conditioning. Can the data that you generate prevent that case to be happening?
Yes, but yes, it can be used for it, but we uh, yes, we can use it if we use data of pick up pick data every hours.
Okay, okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
Yeah, welcome.
So, is there any more question for the audience? No more? Okay. So if there is no more question, I as the moderator want to thank Mr. Muhammad for an insightful
Yeah.
presentation. and thank you for your participation in this seminar. And the next presenter will be Mr. Mario Hadi Kusuma. The time will be yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Afrida. Let me share screen first. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the author of this paper. My name is Mario Hadi Kusuma. Okay, here my paper.
Excuse me, Mr. Mario. Can you raise your volume slightly? Your voice. I cannot clearly hear your voice.
Okay, if like this, is it
Yes. Yeah.
clear?
It's good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Afrida. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce. My name is Mario Hadi Kusuma. I'm speaking here with Ms. Nur Hayati Damiri. We are the author of the paper, The Effectiveness of the PLN website application as a communication media and services for the customers during the pandemic period in Pangkal Pinang city. Okay, the background of our paper is the condition of the pandemic of COVID-19 uh, since the World Health Organization declared the pandemic COVID-19, and then after the government regulation number 21 of 2020 and regulation of Minister of Health of Republic Indonesia number 9 of 2020, and then the policies about the PSBB, so social distancing, stay at home, and then the COVID-19 stimulus assistance program for the PLN, because the impact of the COVID-19 is almost all of the people in Indonesia from heterogeneous background. So the government give the stimulus for the special PLN customers to subsidized category. The 450 volt ampere customer, it will enjoy the 50% reduction in electricity bill cost, and then the 900 volt ampere, it will have the other stimulus. And then the fifth, about the board of directors number 501.KD 20 and 12, about the public service disclosure and disclosure of public information in PT PLN. The objective our research about the find out is it effective or not the PLN website application as the communication media and services for the customers during the pandemic period in Pangkal Pinang City. This is the sample of the feature the PLN website application. There is the menu pasang baru, sambung sementara, ubah daya, simulasi pasang baru, simulasi sambung sementara, and then the profile, and then the services, customer, and then stimulus COVID-19 to get the token or discount. Okay, the literature study the quality of e-government services. In assessing the quality of electronic services, Zetamal, Malhotra, and Parasuraman argue that there are four variables that are the core of the electronic services, including the first, efficiency, and the second, fulfillment, and the third, system availability and privacy. This has become the variable to make sure about the effectiveness of the website application. For the data collection method, we get the data from total 399 respondents from the total population 152,000 and 781 people in Pangkal Pinang. Belongs to 7 sub-district, Bukit Intan, Gabek, Gerunggang, Gelimaya, Pangkal Balam, Mangkwi, and Taman Sari. And then the secondary data from the realization of the new install and power change service through the PLN website application. And then we took this research about 4 months from March to June 2020 in Pangkal Pinang, and then also the primary data from the answers of the questionnaires that people in Pangkal Pinang have been accessed the application. And this is the trends in the realization of new install and change of power in PLN unit Pangkal Pinang. From this figure 1, it shows that the significant increase of the number of new install and power change because after the pandemic period, because it's correlation about the policies stay at home and then PSBB and then not gathering with the other people. So the people just from home they can ask the services about the PLN new install and change of power. And then from the test, the validity test for the variable efficiency fulfillment system availability, we use the SPSS 25 program. And then from the data, we get the value of the person correlation account for each question is greater than the value of R table. So it means that all indicators or the questions items that all measure all the variable are valid. And we use also the reliability test. From the test, we get the result that variable efficiency, fulfillment, service availability, and privacy have a value of Cronbach alpha bigger than 0.60. It means that it's the question from the item this research can be stated have a good and visible reliability value. The other test, we use the Likert scale 4. From the result, from the efficiency, we have the result indicators 3.31, the average, and then it means that the customer feel the speed of the application. And then from the fulfillment, we have the average value of 3.21 in Likert scale 4. It means indicate that the application has met what customer needed and expected. And then from the service availability, we have the data. The average value was 3.27 in the Likert scale 4. It indicates that the application is user-friendly. Also from the privacy, we have the average value 3.35, and it means that the customer regarding the privacy when conducting the transaction process and data entry as fulfilled. So the conclusion, the survey using the Likert scale 4, the average value efficiency 3.31 and fulfillment 3.21, and then the variable service availability of 3.27 and variable privacy 3.3. So it can be concluded that the use of the application in PLN providing service to users or the customers was good and following the expectation of the users. And the second, the effectiveness of PLN application for the customers in Pangkalpinang during COVID-19 pandemic can be said have been effective significantly based on the result of the survey questionnaire, test result, observation, and other supporting data. Okay, the closing, the most effective way to do it is to do it by Emilia Earhart. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Mario, for the presentation. For the audience, if there is a question, you can write down in the chat room, or you can directly ask Mr. Mario a question.
Any question, ladies and gentlemen? If there is no question, I will ask the question.
No, you want to ask? Do you want to ask a question?
No, no, no.
Okay, so maybe for me it's not a question but a comment. Okay,
Yeah.
A comment about PLN service. I used it before to increase our power at our home. So I just like input our information to the website, and then 2 days later the PLN staff is already visiting our home and started just increasing the power. So for me personally, I'm satisfied with the service of PLN website. So it's not a question, but a comment. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
So
you for the comment.
okay. So if there is no more question to Mr. Is there any more question to Mr. Mario?
No question?
No question. Okay, if there is no more question, we would like to say thanks to Mr. Mario for the presentation, for the information. So, and then thank you for participate in our seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Afrida. Thank you
And
all.
then, okay, for all the audience, for all the participant, the committee member informed me that all of you should be waited until the closing ceremony, so that because there will be a announcement for the winner, the best presenter winner. So we are hoping that all of you can stay and wait until the closing ceremony. Thank you.